Why did the court acquit former wrestling chief Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, and what does this verdict actually mean for India? For over a decade, politician Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh completely controlled Indian wrestling. He was the president of the Wrestling Federation of India and a six-term member of parliament. In early 2023, the sport's biggest stars, including Olympic medalists like Vinesh Phogat and Sakshi Malik, stepped before the cameras. 6 adult women wrestlers accused him of sexual harassment spanning 10 years. When Olympic medalists level criminal charges against a sitting lawmaker, the story moves from sports bulletins to front-page national news. The allegations created a direct collision between celebrated athletes and entrenched political authority. The protesting wrestlers set up a permanent camp at New Delhi's Jantar Mantar. For months, they slept on the pavement, demanding accountability and drawing cameras from international media outlets. The standoff peaked in May, when the athletes attempted to march toward India's newly inaugurated parliament building. They were met with heavy police barricades, physical scuffles, and mass detentions. Local police initially stalled on registering a case. It took a direct intervention from the Supreme Court in April 2023 to force the Delhi police to finally file 2 first information reports against the wrestling chief. Investigators eventually produced a 1,500-page charge sheet. It formally indicted Singh under sections of the Indian Penal Code dealing with sexual harassment, outraging a woman's modesty, stalking, and criminal intimidation. The filing of the charge sheet moved the conflict into the legal system. From this point on, the narrative established on the streets would have to meet the specific evidentiary standards of a court of law. The trial moved behind the closed doors of Delhi's Rouse Avenue Court, presided over by additional Chief Judicial Magistrate Ashwini Panwar. The prosecution built its case around consistency. They argued that the victims' core allegations had remained unchanged from their initial police complaints through their courtroom testimonies, bringing in 32 witnesses to support the timeline. Defense lawyers immediately attacked that timeline. They highlighted that some of the alleged incidents were up to 8 years old, questioning why the athletes waited nearly a decade to report the harassment. The defense then focused on the specifics of the testimonies. They pointed to moments where the complainants appeared to alter the exact dates and locations of the alleged assaults during cross-examination. In a criminal trial, precision is required. By exploiting the gaps in memory and the delays in reporting, the defense turned the natural timeline of the allegations into the prosecution's critical vulnerability. The prosecution's case began to fracture from within. Out of the 6 adult women who initially filed complaints, 2 turned hostile on the stand, retracting their support for the charges. A separate case, filed under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offenses Act, had already collapsed months earlier. The minor complainant and her father formally withdrew their statements, stating they were satisfied with the police investigation. Indian law maintains a strict firewall between a public accusation and a criminal conviction. A massive public outcry creates pressure, but the courtroom requires absolute proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Through rigorous cross-examination, the defense systematically dismantled the case on the stand, leaving the prosecution unable to meet that heavy burden of proof. On August 3, 2026, the court delivered its verdict. Citing a definitive lack of evidence, the judge acquitted Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh and his assistant Vinod Tomar of all charges. Public protests can force the police to act and bring powerful figures to trial, but they cannot substitute for the strict evidentiary thresholds required to secure a conviction. Walking out of the courtroom, Brij Bhushan claimed an honorable acquittal. He told the gathered media that the ruling was a victory of truth for himself and his supporters. He reminded reporters of the promise he made on the very first day of the protests, that he would hang himself if even a single charge was legally proven against him. For the athletes who spent years fighting the case, the outcome was devastating. Several of the complainants have given up the sport entirely, citing the severe trauma and exhaustion of the legal battle. The legal system reached a definitive conclusion. That in doing so, it left a generation of the nation's top sporting talent deeply disillusioned and alienated from the sport they dedicated their lives to. The sport itself continues to grapple with the fallout. The Wrestling Federation of India is now led by Sanjay Singh, a well-known business associate and loyal aide to Brij Bhushan. Even after the national scandal and temporary suspensions, The newly reinstated federation was caught operating its official business directly out of Brij Bhushan's personal residence. The criminal trial has concluded with an acquittal, yet the administrative machinery of Indian wrestling remains firmly in the grip of the same entrenched political networks. What do you make of the court's decision and the future of Indian sports? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to NewsWaLive for more